Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and this is going to be my reviews for comics that were released on August 4th, 2021. It's kind of mixed up. I got some DC, Marvel, and some indies in there. First up will be, and this is to the uninitiative. You know, if you're new to my channel, my reviews are pretty in depth. You know, if you were watching a review without, reading these, shame on you. I will say that they are pretty spoiler heavy. I do it for many reasons. There are people that watch my channel that don't read comics, and it's a way, for you to catch up with these books, without having to read them. Or maybe you've never heard of this book, and due to my brief, explanation of the story that I read, you might get interested, something like that. But anyways, first up from Marvel, we have the Avengers number 47. This is World War She-Hulk Part 2. And it was really good. Art was stellar. Story was really fast-paced. The only minus I would have to say is it was really, really quick. Not a lot of meat, but just moving us along. The last page, got me interested. I already like the first part of this, and basically at this point, She-Hulk has been captured by the Red Room, which is the the Widow program, like with Black Widow and the White Widow, and in this currently right here we have the Avengers, and they are trying to rescue her. They have different teams set up, so we have the ground team, and that and the aerial team is Captain America and Tony Stark, and they're going in there, infiltrating the Red Room, trying to find where they have She-Hulk hidden. Excuse me. They do mention that that they don't know where she is, but she's somewhere in the lower levels of this facility. They also mention that she's been gone for several weeks. Iron Man keeps stating that he's not so worried about it, but Steve, Captain America, he is very anxious and worried about Jennifer Walters and what they have been doing. And for those of you who don't know, they are also the ones who created the Winter Soldier, Omega Red, so they have had some dealings with some bad things, especially with mind control and stuff. They do show some cool tech. At first they were in winter gear, and as soon as they get inside they go into stealth gear, and it's not like shadow stuff. You can see right here how they the blue, and they go to the dark. But basically they show a lot of She-Hulk, and basically what she's going through, and they're basically trying to mind mold She-Hulk, and basically control her into this ever-stopping machine that is easily controlled. They're having issues because they are deep in her mind, and they show a lot of what she's going through, but they are having big issues with her just raging out and going Hulk. She is really staying true to the Jenny Walters character persona versus the She-Hulk persona. She keeps reciting lawyer codes and stuff like that, different laws to keep her in check with who she is. The Avengers, as they're going through the facility, they run into some of the Russian, I think they're called the Winter Guard, specifically Crimson Dynamo, and I don't remember the other guy's name, but they are quickly dealt with. We also see that one of the aerial team Avenger members, Captain Marvel, she comes through, and being a mega powerhouse, she is kind of bust through and stuff. She is met by Darkstar and is quickly taken out by Thor. We don't see him. He kind of chunks his hammer at the ground, and the lightning strike from that kind of takes her out. The main villains behind the Red Room, and I'm just not familiar with all their names, but it's 3 different individuals, and they're still trying to break She-Hulk's mind and everything while all this is going on. They do end up having to stop and go take care of some of the Avengers because Captain Marvel gets too close, but she's quickly like incapacitated. But they kind of state that it's not going to hold Captain Marvel that long. And like maybe a page later, they do show that Captain Marvel like does bust through. Basically, all this leads to like the culmination of like both teams, finally finding out where She-Hulk is, and at the same time, like She-Hulk has finally like they like she got released or released herself. They don't really show all that. The bad guys do kind of mention that maybe that they might have gotten through because they needed more time, and the Avengers were kind of like busting in too early. They do show Robbie Reyes, the current Ghost Rider, show up. He's supposed to be like a part of the teleportation, like them getting out of there. They do show the events, and that's this panel over here, that the whole facility kind of is destroyed due to the actions of Captain Marvel and Iron Man and the fight with the bad guys, and also the introduction of She-Hulk, and it looks like they might have got the mind mold stuff to work, because we are shown right here, but this is I forget what they call her, Winter Hulk, and it's basically like a red She-Hulk that with kind of like a mix with Omega Red and Winter Soldier, type tech and protocol, and I don't know, but it was a really great read, a really quick story. I mean, but overall, I'm looking forward to part 3. Next up, we got from DC Comics. This is DC Horrors Presents. This is The Conjuring, The Lover Part 3. I will say real quickly that the first issue was really good, and then we got to the second issue, and it didn't feel, to my standards of what I felt like the comic should have been. The art wasn't there. It just felt more cartoony. I will say I'm glad I stuck on with this, because this was a really good issue. It just looked like maybe the first one was really good and the second one was like maybe a filler, and this is back to the meat. We are still following Jessica. In the last issue, she was like standing over her friend with some scissors. She has she has been someone has enacted like a ritual that is tied to her, and they basically have, in this ritual, they basically cursed her, and now she has this entity that is following her everywhere. And that's kind of like what was happening before, is she was being possessed by that entity, and it wasn't her standing over her friend, it was this entity. As it goes through, we see more of this entity popping up, like this demon or whatever it is, like, showing up all over the place in shadows, like and mirror reflections. I mean, they do a really good job of like you'll see them here in the fog, and but story-wise, Jessica is kind of getting to the breaking point. All of this, I mean, she's seeing a lot of this. A lot of it's in the background, like stuff behind her that she doesn't see. But there are the times that they show you where she's looking at the glass and she freaks out in public, and so it's starting to take a toll. She does go to the library, and they show here she starts trying to do research, because she's starting to put the pieces together that maybe she has been cursed or something like that. She's met by a librarian that tells her, she asked her, oh, you're researching on like occults and stuff like that, and she's like, yeah, and she's like, oh, well, follow me down here to the secret basement. Of course, there is no secret basement. This is part of the whole demon spiel, and it's all fantasy and in her mind. But she basically, like, that was, supposedly this is the demon, like, this entity right here is the one that has been following her or whatever. And we do see that she kind of gets secluded and gets locked up. She's still freaking out, like she still has all these, hallucination moments. Like right there, they show the insects on her face, but they're really not there. It's all in her head. We do have like a really good moment in the first issue. We met Kyle, and Kyle comes back and he's like, hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing okay. And she's like, no, man, I'm not. I really need a hug, and I'm so glad you're here. And can we go out? And he's like, yeah, let's go get dinner and stuff. And so they go show him having a nice moment. It kind of helps her get back to who Jessica really is. And they're kind of on their way home, and they show you that she kind of has this hallucination moment. And then the demon kind of shows up and is about to stab Jessica, and Jessica's like, F that, mother, and pushes the demon. But it's not the demon at all. She's hallucinating, and of course it looks like poor Kyle might have met his demise at the hands of poor innocent Jessica. But that is the first story, and then there's a couple little advertisements like you'll see here. And it says you can get a possessed Peggy, little for $6.66. The next side story is like a relic story about something that the Warrens, and this is where that universe is, the Conjuring from the movie, but it is actually based from the Warren, and the Warren actually has like a artifact room. But it is all based on the monkey with the accordion. His little short story about how like the monkey and the accordion was given to a little boy, and the little boy just kind of like grew up with that monkey, and basically the little boy's life, there have been like massive bad things that follow this boy, and basically it's like a reporter that's kind of like I don't really remember why, but he's kind of like investigating the monkey and the little boy that's tied to it, and he's the one that's telling you the story. And eventually, due to these same weird, circumstances that's tied to the monkey accordion thing, he meets his demise. But it is a little short, compact story. I wouldn't say it's scary or nothing, and there's nothing major about the art. That's why I haven't showed you all a lot. But and it's just a little side story. It's the backup. But in a nutshell, I mean, he's on the cover. But overall, it was a really good read. I was really surprised because going into it, I didn't think it was going to be that good. I've already kind of mentioned that I almost dropped it, so I'm glad I didn't. Suicide Squad number 6, and of course we got Ultraman and Bloodsport on the cover. Suicide Squad, the movie, just came out on Friday. If you have not checked it out, go get it. Go check it out, and then come back and watch my review on the movie. See what I thought about it. This is specifically following the last issue with Bloodsport's iteration with what he has been doing with the Suicide Squad, and he's traveling through the multiverse. That's what his helmet does. It protects him while he travels throughout the multiverse. And he was at Earth 3, and he's tracking down specifically like a Black Canary, the evil version of her. In doing so, he was not well informed that on this Earth that most of our heroes are villains. Like in tow, we have Ultraman. Ultraman is the evil version of Superman. Just like the opposite entails. Our Superman, his weakness is kryptonite. Well, Ultraman, he gets high off that stuff. And Forever Evil in the 52 series, he was literally snorting, powdered version of the kryptonite. But basically, Bloodsport kind of went there and was informed about some things and wasn't informed about a lot of others. So he was easily captured by Ultraman. So this story is basically picking up with Waller sending in the current Suicide Squad to go retrieve Bloodsport and hopefully the bad version of Black Canary. She really wants the Black Canary. It has to do with the multiverse having different like frequencies and sounds, the vibration, and that's kind of why she specifically wants Black Canary. And she's looking for anything that has like ties with the multiverse. So at the moment, we catch up with the team, and they are currently catching another supervillain that Waller has on track. And the reason that Waller wants this supervillain, and her name is Night Terror, but they want Night Terror because she is able to do a little bit of what Flash does. She can like teleport through walls, or it might be a guy, but I think it's a girl. But And they basically want that tech, so basically the Suicide Squad can travel to the multiverse, and just like how Bloodsport has that helmet that protects him, then with this technology from the stolen powers of Night Terror, they will be able to be protected for a short amount of time. They do show the scientists working on it and stuff like that, tells them that you know, due to the short time, because they do end up, like, I think killing that guy Night Terror, and they end up taking his powers away from him somehow. They don't really state it, but they do show them cutting into him. But they basically say that they have like an hour with the device that they give the Suicide Squad to go over to Earth 3, retrieve Bloodsport, and come back. And that's kind of usually how the Suicide Squad works. You know, that's why they're called the Suicide Squad. They're doing suicide missions. Basically, they are teleported over there. They are informed now about the villains on Earth 3, so they are not going in there unequipped. And they are known that they know going into it that Ultraman and stuff knows that they're coming, so they're kind of like ready for a battle right off the go, and like right when they step through, Ultraman sure enough is there, and the fight ensues. I think they were planning on fighting Superman and that version of that good and hope and all that stuff, and Ultraman is just not that. They quickly find out because one of the Suicide members is I can't even remember his name. I don't even remember him. I think he's been in one issue so far. But Ultraman just like rips this guy in half and he's dead. And it sucks because he was talking about like, man, I'm not even a villain. I'm not even supposed to be here. I just want to go. Ultraman kind of freezes the rest, and then they do bring in the evil version of Black Canary, and they kind of trick her into like temporarily stunning Ultraman. She like secretly apologized to Ultraman. She's like, it's not really me. It gives Connor, the Connor that's with the Suicide Squad currently, to, you know, go after Ultraman. Ultraman is just doing this, you know, you're a punk, you're a little bitch, you know, if this is the Earth that you come from, I'm definitely going over there to take over your Earth type thing. And Connor, I mean, he just goes into a blind rage. At the same time, they due to all this, Bloodsport is managed to, you know, be released by one of the other members that was kind of working in the background while they were keeping Ultraman undercover. I mean, kind of right here, it's just basically this whole like toss up with Ultraman and Connor, and that's kind of the main majority of the end of the book. But it gets to a point when like Waller's like, come on, you know, Connor, come on, we gotta go, we got Bloodsport, we got the girl, it's time to go, come on, give it up, you know, you're doing a good job, you beat him up, come on, let's go. And eventually, like, Connor is like, okay, fine. And they do show right here that he takes off. Ultraman's, I mean, they're both supersonic speed. Connor does get to the teleport, you know, area, or, you know, and he's teleported through. You know, it shows Ultraman slamming in the wall after that. But it does show when they go through, they're not exactly where they're supposed to be. They're somewhere else. And it shows that they are, it looks like on another part of Earth 3, but it looks like this is maybe the real version of Superboy, or the regular version of Connor. Ultraman does go into a bunch of when he's downing, you know, the Suicide Squad's version of Connor, about how he's a copy of a copy of a copy. And I think that's kind of what they're playing at. Next up from Image, we have Gieger #5, and man, what a book. I mean, such a great writing, art, everything, man. The art is beyond phenomenal. It's probably some of the best art in comics I've seen lately. And I'm not just biased. I mean, this is a good book. If you have not read on it, I mean, we're getting close to the end of the first volume, and it's only going to have six issues, and then it's going to go on to a second volume. They do a really excellent job of catching you up with the whole story from issues 1 through 4 right here on the first page, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. 4 comics summed up in a page. But we're basically catching up with the events of what happened in the last one, and we saw that Gieger was tossed, you know, from this truck after saving the kids. The kids were rescued by the army They do show you that it's picking up right there. The Army does take the kids. They start questioning them. They look at the nuclear football, which and the nuclear football has all the locations and codes to all the nuclear silos on the Earth. So in the wrong hands, it could be something deadly. They do show that the Army does capture Gieger, and they take him. They take the kids and Gieger to wherever they're going. They show you that the king is in pursuit, and we meet a new character named Blackbeard. Basically, at this time, he's like one of the other like pirate kings in Vegas, and the main king of Vegas has promised Blackbeard like half of Vegas if he gets rid of Gieger. So they're in pursuit of Gieger. We catch up with the Army, and they're going through, and they're basically kind of like getting the stories for the kids. The commander that picked up the kids, she is kind of in communication because we find out that this is the president and the cabinets and senators and stuff like that, and they're kind of underground and hiding. Because this is set in a post-apocalyptic world with radiation rampant, and they do see that there's I think I don't remember exactly where they are. I want to say they're in NORAD, but they're in a massive military base with basements, and they show you that they have like a population with plants and schools, and so the kids are shown kind of like this whole little tour and everything. They take Gieger in, and they're quickly like starting to question things about, for one, he doesn't have any, his gamma levels are crazy. Like they might be getting sick just by standing next to him. They start questioning why he has the bow sticks that look attached to him, kind of things. They do have him locked up, and they know he is kind of like an enemy of the state type thing, or that's how they're treating him. But they're still investigating, and while they investigate, they take the sticks out, and we know that's what activates Gieger. And yep, they activate, and he breaks free. He quickly takes out all the guards and escapes and everything. We see that the kids are taken separately, and they are tested, and we find out that the little brother of the I think it's a sister and a brother, but we do find out that the brother has a very, very dangerous case of leukemia. And there's kind of like a brief conversation with the government people about what to do about the kid. They do have the children separated, the brother and sister, and they have not told each other. We do see that Geiger's little puppy shows up as Gieger is getting out. There is this, we have seen Turok is his name, or Turok, or Tarok, or I know I'm not pronouncing it right, but Gieger, we have seen that he does enjoy reading, and he does ask a guard like, oh, is that a good book? And the guard's like, yes, it is. And the guard, he knocks out the guard and takes the book, which I thought was really cool. There is a scene where the daughter starts, questioning some of the government people about her little brother. They quickly tell her about the little brother, about how, he does have cancer and he's going to die soon. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to give him to the monsters? And the government people are like, no, we're not going to do that. But we do have this, basically they're going to put him down kind of like a sick dog or a cat kind of thing. The little sister, she takes off going to look for the little brother while she's and his little puppy's name is Barney. But we do see as she's running through the halls that someone ends up finding her, and at the same time that guy finds her, that Barney finds him too, and Barney quickly saves the little girl. Barney actually takes out like 3 or 4 of the guards. It's not shown. It's just shown kind of like the aftermath of what Barney did with all the different guards that was trying to get to the girl. Gieger catches up, and basically, he has at this point he's kind of like taken out most of the guards at that facility. So the government is kind of like going deeper in ground. They're worried that Geiger's going to come in and kill him. We have found out that they have initiated this robot to go after Gieger because they're so freaked out about him, and now that he has the nuclear the football, as they're calling it, you know, and they want it back. We do see that this is going to be the last issue of the volume. It's going to be like an action-packed mega issue, and they kind of show the robot right there on the cover. But I mean, it has been a phenomenal ride. It has been a great read every single week. All right, last but not least, we got Boom Studios. We got Something Is Killing the Children, number 18, and it was actually a really good read. I can say the art is it's okay, but we are following Erica, and she's heading to the House of Slaughter. She's being taken there by Jess, I think her name is, and you know, a lot of this is we're just seeing, and I'm drawing a blank at his name. I know his last name is Slaughter. And he is one of the main members of the House of Slaughter. But we find out here that this basically is like the, you know, it is the House of Slaughter, and this is where they train all the members of St. Joseph. And, you know, it's not like fluff. We actually get to see, you know, and she's kind of, you know, she's brought here, she's met him. He is actually very nice and well-spoken. You know, there are some things that he has not explained until further on. It comes, and we'll get there. But it is quickly, like, you know, basically, she is brought into the House of Slaughter. She gets a brief moment to meet everybody, and she gets to go to the bathroom. She didn't have to go, but she's forced to go to the bathroom, and she's like, guess what, it's going to be a long day. And then they take her into the barn and basically get into it. Just kind of gives her a rundown of what is about to happen, and she tells her, you do not have a name once you go in here. You do not tell them you have a name. You are going to give her Octo, which is the little like sock puppet that she has, that the monster is inside the puppet. She's going to take Octo inside and present it to the council, and then after that, it just depends on Erica if she's going to come out alive. They do show her go inside. It is very dark and dreary. As soon as she goes in, Octo starts activating. You can see it's like making sounds like it is reacting to this location. We do see that Papa Slaughter, or that's what I'm going to call him for now, but he is on this podium and stuff, and he asked her name, you know, her family name, and she's like, I don't have one. And he's like, well, good, that's because our hunters don't have names. And he's like, oh, do you have a totem? Did he have a name? And, you know, she's like, no, but I used to call him Otto, you know. And he's like, okay, present that, put that on the pedestal. And she puts it there, and all of a sudden her monster is released. And we know this is a bad mamma jamma. And Papa Slaughter was not really informed that this was going to be such a big and ferocious monster. It is told later on in the story that most of the trainees start out with a more basic type monster, and this is a more like advanced version of the monsters, and it kind of scares the shit out of Papa Slaughter. They kind of show him, you know, they kind of show him after the monster is brought out that it is quickly, like, you know, he is quickly freaking out, and he's like, oh no, he does this thing, and some of this is kind of like left up to your imagination and kind of got confusing. But what I got out of the story here was, you know, they basically summon the monster, and he sees the monster, and she kind of reacts, and she's basically, you know, remembering the past, you know, the encounter with the monster. And he tries like deactivating the ceremony somehow, and it shows like the monster going into her. Now, we do know that this is part of the ceremony, and because he mentioned something else later with Jess, and because he kind of, you know, after this, he kind of goes outside and he gets mad at Jess, and he's like, hey bro, you didn't tell me that this girl had, you know, this fucking kaiju inside her. I mean, we're used to little goblins, you know, this was Godzilla. You know, and he's like, well, I don't think she's gonna make it. You just send a little girl to her death, kind of thing. So it looks like that's gonna be like the next issue is gonna be like this Erica in her head, you know, fighting this monster type thing. Of course, we do know that that she makes it out and she beats the monster because I mean this is the origin story, right? And we know Erica's out there killing, you know, the monsters. but yeah, that's what the next issue. I mean, it was a really good read. I can say the only negative parts was those parts where it was like I wish they would have showed more of the ceremony kind of thing instead of leaving it up to the art imagination. Like what is that panel? What's that panel? I don't know. But these are my reviews. I will have time codes below like always. I need to state that at the beginning. Like.